So do I. All right, but we started a little early. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rambling Men Sports Podcast. Been a long time, but James and I are back. James, first of all, what's going on, my man?
Same old stuff, man. Working. Excited for football's back, Shane.
Yeah, what we were literally just talking about. Football is back. That's why I wanted to get a podcast out. Busy summer, I know, for the both of us. If the viewers can't tell, I'm swagged out with WVU apparel. That's because I'm working my internship this summer and my other job, working both two jobs. Just haven't had the time until these last 2 weeks. Finally had a little bit of time. You couldn't do it last week, so I held off till this week, which was somewhat convenient because preseason essentially starts tonight. I know they technically started last week, but
Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, Hall of Fame game. That doesn't count. But training camp's going. We got to talk some football.
Let's do it.
All right, so first things first, we got training, like I said, training camp going on. Some of the top storylines, Melvin Gordon and Ezekiel Elliott holding out. Which one do you think is most likely to play for their team this year?
I would honestly say Zeke, just because he has a little bit less leverage than Melvin Gordon for a couple reasons. One, he has a track record of doing some bad things, but he also technically has 2 years left on his deal, and I'm pretty sure Melvin Gordon doesn't.
Yes, I believe Dallas used a 5th-year option on him.
Yeah, exactly. So, leverage, but I think both of them have an argument in a way. I mean, Zeke's in a predicament where he's on his rookie deal, but he's the best player in the league at his position. That almost never happens, and I'm about the. So I know a lot of people are honor your contract people, but the teams don't honor their contracts. And if you outplay your contract, I think you have a right to try to get a raise. I really do. I get it though. Like you sign a contract, but it's like you sign a contract in 2015 for 7 years, like, and you're Aaron Rodgers or you're Julio Jones or you're, you know what I mean? Like you're going to be the 10th best player at your position when you're 3 or 4 years into your deal. It just shouldn't be like that. I think they need to start putting clauses in people's deals that, listen, your deal will go up with the market. So if somebody, we'll always play you like a top 5 player or something like that. Like Aaron Rodgers, we will never pay you outside of top 5 quarterback money, even if, you know what I mean, even no matter what or something, just because I just genuinely do. I mean, if people don't live up to their contracts, NFL teams cut them. So it's like, you got to try to get all the money you can in your 10-year window. So I don't like Zeke.
That's very obvious.
I want him to get his money, dude. I mean, he deserves it. He's an asshole off the field, but he, in my opinion, is the best running back in the NFL. I wouldn't take anybody over him.
So you said Zeke is most likely to play for Dallas this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said for another team.
Did I?
No. Okay, I was making sure you asked what I thought you asked. No, you didn't.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same page. I probably agree with that because I believe I read somewhere that Dallas offered him $13 million a year, and he turned it down. Which he wants to be the highest paid running back in the league. That's fine, but that's a pretty good starting point.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think Todd Gurley's the highest paid running back, and he's at $14 million. So if Dallas is punting up 13 right now, 15 mil isn't that far off. But from what I've read, also it sounds like the Chargers and Gordon's camp couldn't be farther apart. I don't know what kind of cash he wants, but it doesn't sound like the Chargers are willing to give it to him. I think last year they had a guy, Justin Jackson, I think is his name, from Northwestern, come in and play very well and on a rookie deal. Like, I think they might be willing to move on from him. I don't know. But yeah, I'd probably lean Zeke returns to the Cowboys sooner than Gordon returns to the Chargers. It doesn't sound like he's going to be there. One team, though, we can talk about next, though, the Texans just traded for Duke Johnson. They were supposed to be one of the teams apparently interested in Gordon. I don't know if I would go that far, but they were inquiring, I think, and they just traded for Duke Johnson. What's up?
Why not the Packers?
I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard rumblings about the Packers. I can't speak for the Packers, even though I'm lobbying for it, so to speak. I can't really speak for them. Plus, everything with them is quiet for the most part, anyway.
What if they had to pay him $13 million? Would you do
13?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Do you guys have cap space?
After releasing Mike Daniels, I believe so. A little bit of like wiggle room to get something done.
Who's your
Get something done to where like you basically backload the contract. I don't think we can give him 13 mil this year. Or I'm sorry, it's not this year he's wanting. It's next year he's wanting. I don't know about next year. I haven't really checked.
Or just give him a lot more guaranteed to ease up on the cap.
Yeah, obviously there's a connection there with him being from Wisconsin and going to Wisconsin. I think there should be interest from Green Bay's camp.
That was my fault.
Yeah, there should be interest from Green Bay's camp. I'm not sure they're willing to part ways with a draft pick though. That's just never been their philosophy.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be shocked if they managed to pull something out of their hat, but it would probably take a first-round pick this year and a future pick, and I just don't think they're in the business of future picks.
I don't think they're in the first-round draft picks for running backs you're going to be able to use years either. I would never trade a first for a running back.
Yeah, I don't think they're willing to do that.
Maybe Zeke because he's like 24 and you could actually get like
I wouldn't be against trading like a future second, maybe even a third. Or trade a second and third this year, then maybe a future second. But
that would be doable.
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable, but I don't see Green Bay pulling that off. My other contract news: Michael Thomas gets a 5-year, $100 million extension. James, we both talked about this. We have both been in the camp that we don't really want to pay a wide receiver quarterback money, but this is the first wide receiver I'm like, yeah, like this is a no-brainer.
First of all, man, it's the league now. Wide receivers are becoming more prominent again. I feel like there was a point in time where the Patriots kind of got the slot receiver thing going, where outside receivers weren't as important for like 5 or 6 years there, but they're becoming more dominant again. So that's number one. Number two, it's just the market now. We need to stop overreacting every time somebody resets the market. It's how it works.
I agree with that completely now.
It's just how it is. I mean, it was the Matt Stafford thing, for example. Everybody was like, "How do you pay Matt?" It's just like you have to, dude.
It was market value. Like it wasn't even market value, really.
I mean, what are you going to replace him with? So it's like you can't let Michael Thomas walk. And the more I thought about it, the more I really liked it because Michael Thomas has a skill set similar to like a Larry Fitzgerald or like an Anquan Bolden, where he's still going to be just as good when he's 33 years old as he was when he's 26 years old. His skills, because he's not fast. He runs a 4.65. He's going to be like, he's big body, strong hands, great route runner. That shit doesn't go away. He'll be good when he's in his third. At the end of this deal, he'll be just as good as now.
Let me see his numbers real quick.
They are solid.
I know,
like 1,500 yards and like 13 touchdowns last year or something.
So his rookie year, he put up 1,100 yards on 92 receptions for 9 touchdowns. Second year, 104 receptions, 1,200 yards, 5 touchdowns. This past year, 125 receptions, 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns. So he's not really a touchdown guy, but, I mean, 125 receptions is stupid good.
I honestly think, I don't know, I think he could be a bigger red zone weapon than he was utilized for. Like, I think he could put up like a 14, 15 touchdowns.
I don't disagree with that. I think the Saints have shifted their approach to where they're not really throwing the ball as much. Obviously, they are with Michael Thomas getting the numbers that he is.
Yeah, but it isn't. Drew Brees isn't a 5,000-yard thrower anymore.
Because he can't do it anymore. Or I won't say he can't do it anymore. He shouldn't be doing it anymore.
No, he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be.
And that's what I think Green Bay is starting to try to do, is run the ball more so Rodgers doesn't have to throw every down. But, yeah, this is the one deal, and I'm glad you brought up market value because it is shifting. I mean, quarterbacks, it used to be quarterbacks get $20 million a year. Now they're getting $35 million a year.
Yeah.
And now wide receivers have gone from about 10 to 12 million to 16 to 20 million. Yeah. So, and same with defensive stars. Last year, I wouldn't have hesitated to give Khalil Mack $20 million a year. And Aaron Donald. I wouldn't have hesitated.
I would throw that contract at him.
Oh, absolutely. And then Michael Thomas, I can see the hesitation with it, but he's such a stud. He's such a stud. He's consistent as hell, and just keeps his nose clean. Like you never hear a peep from Michael Thomas. Like he's not like a diva wide receiver. Like unlike and Like my friend brought up OBJ. Like, would you have paid OBJ? I said absolutely not. I would have let him walk.
I would have.
You would have paid him?
OBJ. That's where we differ.
Okay. So we'll talk a little bit more about training camp. How are your Eagles looking?
In training camp?
Yeah. Do you know?
Couple minor injuries. One of our starting linebackers got a pretty bad ACL sprain. He might miss a couple weeks, but we play nickel almost every fucking down anyway, so not a huge deal. Carson Wentz throwing piss missiles out there every day. He's looking fantastic. If he stays healthy, he will be top.
You know how much I love Carson Wentz, James.
I know. I love that man. He's looking like a fucking stud.
I love Carson Wentz. I love him.
Got some muscle on him. He's looking good. If he can stay healthy, he's gonna have a big year because the offense is stacked, dude. They're 5 deep at wide receiver. The offensive line is deep. They have depth. Their starters are great. They have the depth behind that. Now we have Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard, who I think can be.
I forgot about Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard. Oh my goodness.
Dude, he's a stud right now at camp, and then we have 2 number 1 tight ends.
Yep.
About to run like Hernandez and Gronk. So it's gonna be tough to stop. If Dougie P can have a really good coaching season, I see them being a top 5 offense.
Yeah, I'm gonna release. I haven't been able to keep up with my blog either recently, but I'm gonna release some power rankings tomorrow. And I will have the Eagles very high on that list. I won't give away where.
Let's do 10. I thought we were doing our top 10 power
Oh,
rankings.
that's right, we are. Shoot, yeah, I guess I will reveal it then.
That's what I wanted to get.
Let me find them real quick. I had them here. I'm not sure I can name them off the top of my head. I completely forgot about this. Thank you for reminding me.
No problem. I like my top 10. It's a little different, I think.
Okay. Go ahead. Let's start with 10.
So, number one.
Okay, you're gonna go number 1.
Super Bowl. Huh?
I said let's start at 10.
Oh, start at 10. Okay.
Yeah.
At number 10, I have the Cleveland Browns.
Same exact thing, Cleveland.
Great roster. I think Baker Mayfield in the second season could do that, big step forward second season type play. That's usually what happens with good quarterbacks. I mean, just absolutely stacked at every offensive position. They could use a tackle, a couple tackles. They're a little weak there, but they got a good running game, great wide receivers, great tight end.
They're very solid in the interior of their offensive line.
Yes, exactly.
And they got probably 2 great running backs. They got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb.
Defense is more than solid in my opinion. I think Myles Garrett's going to win Defensive Player of the Year this year.
That's a very underrated pick. I like that.
Dude, Myles Garrett is going to eat this year.
I like that very much.
They just put somebody on the other side, and that's the reason I picked him. So because he's not going to have as much attention.
Yeah, they got Olivier Vernon.
That's who they got. Yeah.
That's like the perfect number 2 pass rusher.
Yes, absolutely. That's what he is. He's a top tier number 2.
Yeah.
He's not a number 1. He's give you 8 or 9 sacks, which is more than good enough for your number 2 end. Myles Garrett's going to eat. I think Denzel Ward is a stud at cornerback. Didn't they just get a really good safety too?
I know they traded Jabril Peppers.
I think they have a really good roster. It's whether talent doesn't always equal success. That's why I have them at 10. Because honestly, if we were power ranking rosters right now, they'd be top 5.
Yeah, I agree. I gotta see how it meshes with OBJ. I've said before, I'm not a big OBJ fan. He's crazy talented, but not the best locker room presence.
Best wide receiver in the league, baby.
That's fair.
I love Odell.
Number 9, I'm going to go first this time. I'm going to say the Atlanta Falcons. Everyone is sleeping on the Atlanta Falcons. People forget how good this roster is.
No, they do have a good team. Offense is stacked. I think they have Deion Jones going to be back on defense. He missed all last.
Crazy amount of injuries last year. That's why they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, they got 2 really bad injuries the first week against the Eagles. Yep. I remember. Okay, I like that pick at 9. Who was your number 10?
I said Cleveland. You must not have heard me. Yeah, Cleveland.
We booked that 10.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 9. Sorry, Bears. I just think that defense is just absolutely disgusting, and I think their offense is probably a little overrated. But Nagy,
it 100% is. Don't sugarcoat it. It is.
I think Nagy can scheme up some shit that'll, they score them 24 points a game, and I think they'll win probably 11 games because of that.
I mean, that was their team. He schemed enough to where they got out to an early lead. The defense held it. And then they usually just escaped with victories. I'm not as high on the Bears this year, though, because of that.
I wouldn't disagree with that sentiment, though, at all.
Yeah. But at my number 8, I am sticking in the NFC North. Not the team you probably think I'm going to go with. Minnesota Vikings at number 8.
The Vikings?
Yeah, I'm going with the Vikings.
Ooh.
Crazy talented defense. They retained everyone on defense. They brought back Anthony Barr. They have a really good secondary with Harrison Smith. Pretty good defensive line with I never know how to pronounce his name. Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin. I know you're not the biggest Kirk Cousins fan. They don't have a great offensive line, but they do have weapons on offense. Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. What's that?
Didn't they draft 2 offensive linemen this year?
They drafted the top center who I really like. That dude from NC State, Bradbury.
And then Dalvin Cook should be back nice and healthy this year. You're right. I think they could be good. I wouldn't put them in my top 10. I think they're in between 10 and 15, though.
Yeah, but that's my number 8. I think they're going to bounce back. Plus, great coach and Mike Zimmer.
Okay.
Number 7.
No, we're on 8.
I'm sorry. That's right. You didn't say number 8.
As much as it pains me, I got the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, dude. No, we're an anti-Cowboys podcast. You know that.
I hate the Cowboys. I like to be objective about football, though. They have a really good roster, man. They have a lot of really good young players. I think Dak is really good at doing what he has to do to win. I don't think he's super talented, but I think he knows how to win football games, which is really important. I think sometimes in a lot of cases that can be more important than talent. Listen, I don't need to go out there and win this game. I think he understands his role in that offense, which is so important in football more than anything else. Just understanding football is do your job, not do too much. It's do your job. And Dak, I hate him. I don't think he's that good, but he does his job very, very well. Defense is just stacked. I think they're going to have a top defense, and I think if Zeke can come back and run for 1,500 yards like he probably will if he plays, they're going to win 10 or 11 games. So I got him at 8.
I think that's a big if with Zeke. Just right now, I had them a little bit lower. I don't have them in my top 10. I had them.
That makes me happy, Shane.
Again, it's probably my Cowboy hate. I had them at 15.
I love that.
That's probably really low now that I think about it, but I'm gonna go 15.
Okay.
So number 7, I'm gonna go with the next, so to speak, dynasty in the NFL, and that is the Indianapolis Colts.
That's who I got at 7 too.
Yeah, I mean, this team is. They have done so much with their roster, and they haven't even spent money. It's been all draft picks.
I know. I agree. I love what Chris Ballard's done. I think they're setting themselves up for a very strong Super Bowl run next year.
I would agree with that.
Obviously, they're going to go for it this year, but I think Chris Ballard's going to break the bank a little bit more next year. They've been drafting super well, going with the safe, solid picks, which good teams usually go with the safe picks because you ultimately know what you get at the end of the day. Now, splash picks work sometimes, but sometimes they don't. I mean, you look at Marcus Davenport, who's the freaking first-round picks, where it's just like, dude, come on, you know what I mean? You don't know.
Yeah, and I don't want to completely trash Davenport. I think he was a pretty good player last year, just a rookie.
No, I think there's going to be unfair expectations on him because of what the Saints did.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Now he's not he's 2 first-rounders. You were a first-round pick times 2, bro. You better go get 15 sacks.
And they gave that first-round pick to Green Bay, who basically got Jair Alexander and a first-round pick out of that deal.
Yes. Beast.
Jair Alexander is a monster.
He might be your best defensive player right now. Would you agree with that?
I'd say probably Kenny Clark. I think Kenny Clark's very underrated.
He's got to be your best corner.
Corner, yeah. Best corner, yeah.
Yeah, he's a beast. I like Jair.
I think he's going to have a big year with the upgrades we made at edge rusher.
Agreed. I agree. Number
6, I am curious to know who you have here.
My Philadelphia Eagles, buddy.
Really? That's low.
I wanted to be objective. There's a lot to like about them, but the defense is going to take a step back this year. I think they're going to be in between 15 and 10 somewhere, which is fine because I think they're going to have a top 5 offense. I just simply don't think they're better than the other 5 teams I have on here.
All right.
Do I think they could beat them in a football game?
Yeah.
Yes. Do I think that they're better, like, as a power ranking? No.
Okay. I actually have the LA Rams here at number 6. I'm just not high on their defense. I know they have Aaron Donald, by far top 2 player in the league.
You can scheme a defensive lineman out of the game.
Yep.
You really can.
He'll make his plays, but the rest of their defense, I just don't think is that good. And they lost LaMarcus Joyner and I want to say somebody else on defense. And then they brought in Clay Matthews. I'm sorry, I love Clay Matthews. He's not the player he used to be. And they brought in Eric Weddle. Eric Weddle's a solid player. I don't think he's better than LaMarcus Joyner. And this defense wasn't that great last year. They ranked in the bottom half of the league.
Yeah.
They'll score points. I think they're going to give up a lot of points.
I agree. And I think they'll score a lot. They're a team who's ultimately not going to make a deep playoff run because I agree with what you just said. When it gets cold and they got to make a trip somewhere, they're not going to score 35 points and they're not going to win. That's
I think so too. I think they benefit a lot because their division's not very good.
I'm going to tell you how the Rams season's going to go. They're probably going to start really, really hot because it's going to be warm and it's going to be nice and nobody's going to have tape on them, and then they're going to be a little more closer to average at the end of the year. That's
I don't even know if Todd Gurley's healthy. Like, no one knows.
He's not, bro. He has a degenerative knee issue. He's never going to be healthy again. Is he going to be a good player still? Yeah, probably. Is he going to be? I just ran for 1,600 yards and
didn't he just win Offensive Player of the Year?
Dude, he scored 21 touchdowns in like 12 games. Yeah, he was a fucking beast. He would have, dude. He might have been close to 30 touchdowns.
They did draft a running back. I really like that dude out of Memphis. Darrell Henderson, I think is his name. He could be a really good replacement for him. We'll see.
I agree.
But yeah, I think this team benefits a lot just by playing in a fairly weak division. See, I know Seattle's pretty good. San Francisco's up and coming, but Arizona's horrible.
I agree.
Number 5, I'm going to stay in LA and go with the Chargers. Even without Melvin Gordon. I think they have a good enough running back behind him, and I still don't remember his name. I think it's Justin Jackson from Northwestern, I'm pretty sure. Could be thinking of somebody else. But they're stacked just about everywhere else.
Yep, I agree. I have the Rams at 4, and then the Rams at 5, and then the Chargers at 4. So I think we just switched our LA teams there. So yeah, my 4 is the Chargers. Like you said, just stacked.
Well, no, did you give a 5?
5 was Rams.
Eagles were 6. Okay.
Eagles were 6, Rams were 5. I had the Chargers at 4.
Okay, so we're at 4 now. Okay.
I think they have the best quarterback. They have not the best quarterback in the division, but a really, really good quarterback. I think their defense is beyond solid. Derwin James is probably a top 10 defensive player in the league already, and he's like 22 years old. Even without Melvin Gordon, I still think that they have some pretty good running backs behind him. The wide receiving core is ridiculous. People don't even realize how good it is. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and all them. I mean, I think Tyrell Williams.
And they get Hunter Henry back healthy.
Hunter Henry is back, who is a top 5 tight end as well. He's probably the 5th best tight end in the league. They are just stacked. I think it's fine. I think
still a very underrated defensive front.
Yes, I think they could go to the Super Bowl in the AFC. All jokes aside, I really do.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that. They're talented enough for sure. My number 4. I didn't realize how far ahead we were. My number 4 is the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. Maybe a little low, but I still really like the Chiefs. I love Patrick Mahomes. I do believe he is the best quarterback in the game right now. Weapons, crazy amount of weapons offensively. They get Tyreek Hill back. Not going to serve a suspension, I believe. I read that somewhere.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah. Defense should be better. I got to see how the new pieces work. They traded away Dee Ford, brought in Frank Clark. They're changing a new scheme. They did make some improvements, like getting Tyrann Mathieu and Bashaud Breeland in the secondary. They should be better. I want to see how the new pieces fit, though. They should still be a top 5 team.
Agreed. So we're on 3 now, right?
Yes, number 3.
My 3 was the Chiefs. I just think ultimately the combination of Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid, who is just the most masterful play designer ever, is just it's just going to be too hard to beat, man. I don't even care how bad their defense. Artist said if they have a defense in the top 20, they're going to the Super Bowl, and I honestly agree with him. If they have just an average defense, they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
I remember saying that for years with Aaron Rodgers, and it never happened.
I don't know, man. I do not know. You guys never had Tyreek Hill.
I know. No, you're 100%
Tyreek
right
Hill
about that.
makes the entire offense just like so wide open. You have to use two players at all times.
Yeah.
And then they have the most perfect complement to him, Travis Kelce, who can work the middle of the field on one safety instead of two.
Yeah.
And it's almost easy. He just looks at one of those two. If Kelce's on a safety, throw it to him. He's going to catch it 9 times out of 10. If Tyreek Hill doesn't have a safety literally right over top of him because of Travis Kelce, you throw it to him, he's going to catch a 60-yard bomb.
And then even if you find a way to cover those two, they have enough, like, sufficient guys around them to make a play.
Sammy Watkins. He might be the best 2 in the league.
Who's that?
Sammy Watkins is their
Oh,
number
yeah, I
2.
forgot about Sammy Watkins.
And McCole Hartman, who runs a freaking 4.1.
That's right. They did just draft him.
They're stacked on offense. Like, they're going to score almost 40 points a game.
I am expecting a bit of a sophomore slump from Mahomes. Still going to be great, though.
Now, I don't think he's going to throw 50-something touchdowns for 5K yards, but I still think he's going to go 40 and 4,500.
Yeah, I would agree. It's just going to be one of those years where we're like, man, Mahomes isn't having as good of a year as he did last year because it was a stupid good year last year. And you still look at the numbers and you're like, hey,
Thank you.
I'm talking on the phone. Sorry.
Sorry.
That was my grandmother.
I was talking to the toll lady as well, so.
Anyway, you look at his numbers and you're like, dang, he's actually still having a really good year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so number 3 is where I do have your Philadelphia Eagles, my good sir.
Okay.
Like you said,
Tell me why, Shane.
loaded on offense. Loaded on offense. I think Carson Wentz is going to be healthy. People forget. If I had a table right now, I would hit the table. People forget how good this team was when Carson Wentz was healthy 2 years ago.
No, they do. They really do.
And they're treating him like he's a leper because he's missed some time with injuries, and I get that. But if he's healthy, I'm treating him the same way I did Andrew Luck. I still believe in Carson Wentz, like I still believed in Andrew Luck was going to play at a high level.
Yep.
And the Eagles are going to be one of the top teams in the NFC, likely win their division, probably get a first-round bye, Super Bowl contender.
Love that, Shane. Who's number 2? So it sounds like we have the same top 2.
I would imagine so, yeah. I couldn't imagine who you have over these two teams that I have.
The Pats won the Super Bowl, and they got better, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
they're number 1.
If they didn't get better, they're just as good.
I genuinely think they got almost significantly better.
They had a really good draft.
Dude, N'Keal Harry is going 1,000 yards this season.
Oh, I think that's my offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, seriously, though. Josh McDaniels is going to get him a lot of balls, and I'm pretty sure Josh Gordon comes back. Now, you can't count on him, but, like, he's always going to be a weapon. Always. So.
Josh Gordon's not there.
Oh, he left? No, him and Tom Brady are working out right now.
We'll see.
And then they got Sony Michel, who I think is one of the better running backs in the AFC.
Yeah, I do agree there. Very underrated. And then number 2, I would imagine we both have New Orleans Saints.
Saints, yep.
Yeah.
Just a stacked team. I don't know, dude. I think the Saints.
I don't want to.
They had the biggest gap. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the Saints went 500 just because of, like, the heartbreak over the last 2 years, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they went, like, 14-2.
It's easy to compare, maybe, this team to the Falcons a few years ago who did blow a lead.
Exactly.
And they had a hangover. This team just doesn't seem to have that attitude that the Falcons did. I remember in training camp 2 years ago? The Falcons were still talking about that Super Bowl. The Saints aren't really talking about it.
Well, I mean, the Saints are still kind of doing the same, though.
Are they? I haven't really paid attention, honestly.
Dude, a judge in New Orleans just, like, is, like, suing the referees.
That's right. I did read that.
Ridiculous. Like, dude, get over it. Get over it. You guys had the ball in overtime.
Oh, I agree.
Had the ball in overtime.
I tell that to my friend Taylor. I love my friend Taylor. He's a big Saints fan. I tell him all the time, you blew it. Like, there's no other way around it.
I went to the Freeze and the Saints, but it's like, dude, stop acting like the game ended on that call. It didn't.
Yeah.
It did not end there. You played for a whole another 4 minutes in the quarter, and then you went to overtime and got the ball and lost. You lost the game. There's bad calls all the time. Like, I would be livid if that happened to my team.
Yeah, I would too.
But I damn sure wouldn't be acting like that's the reason we lost.
No, same here. And I definitely wouldn't be petitioning to replay the game.
No, not at all. I'd be pissed about it. course. It's like the Dez caught it thing, but it's not
Yeah.
like fucking even Cowboys fans weren't doing this shit about that. Like, come on.
The people who still say Dez caught it, I just laugh because we both have the same take on this. That call did not. Everyone acts like that call took place with under a minute left, and it didn't. There was still about 3 to 4 minutes on the clock, and the Cowboys could not stop Aaron Rodgers in the second half. He could have gotten a field goal to win the game.
But according to the rule at that time, that was not a catch.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Like, not to get into a Dez caught it debate, but like,
yeah,
I always said that. I'm like, dude, yes, I do believe in the like, the definition of a catch, like, outside of the NFL, yeah, he probably caught that ball, but, like, you have to complete possession through the ground, and he didn't do it, so it's not a catch. I don't know. I really didn't get what everybody argued about for that long. If you want to argue the rule, but not the fucking the play.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, the Saints should be just as good. Am I crazy to think, though, that I don't want to pull that trigger yet, but this might be it for their window? They got a lot of dudes on rookie deals.
Oh, they're done. They're done after this year.
It seems that way.
If they make a deep playoff run.
Like last year was pretty much the Rams' year. And that's why they loaded up. The Saints have kind of done that, but not as much. They got to do a lot of dudes on rookie deals that end in a year or two.
I don't know.
We'll see. They'll still be really good as long as Breeze is there and Peyton, but I just don't. I think that window might be over after this year. Might.
I agree. I would agree.
So let's talk some college football. The USA Today Top 25 preseason poll came out. Top 10 included Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ohio State, LSU, Michigan, Florida, Notre Dame, and Texas. Any of these shocked you, James? I haven't really talked to you about it.
No, man. It looks like the same preseason top 10 from every year. I could have picked that. Maybe not in order, but I could have been like, Clemson, Alabama.
Yeah, like Clemson, Bama, Georgia, like that's
Notre
easy.
Dame, like they're going to be there every year. It's just they always have top recruiting classes, so it's like when you look on paper, these are always going to be the best teams. Doesn't surprise me at all. I never really keep up with rosters in football in college just because it's so fluid all the time. There's always so many like incoming freshmen who could be good and transfers and people graduate. Like I don't know. Like I'm sure Oklahoma's quarterback this year is going to be an absolute stud, but I don't really know
Hurts.
about him.
Jalen Hurts.
Oh shit! I forgot he went there.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. We played SmackDown. But
I've seen our Mountaineers, and it's gonna be a trying year.
I wish I knew more, but honestly, I can't comment too much here. I really don't know. Like I said, the top 10 looks about standard. I'm sure probably 5 of those teams finish in the top 10 at the end of the year, and 5 of them won't. But usually, how it goes.
Yeah, the top 3 I think are obvious with Clemson, Bama, Georgia. I would argue those are the top 3 programs right now in the country. Maybe argue Ohio State.
I'd put Oklahoma at 4. Honestly, the top 4 are the best 4 fucking teams in the country.
Yeah, just Oklahoma. Oklahoma lost a lot on the offensive line, their defense. What's that?
I said if you told me to name the best 5 college football programs in the country, that top 5 right there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
we'll just see with Oklahoma. I'm not a big Jalen Hurts guy, although I do respect the hot of Lincoln Riley.
He's no well, obviously he's not a Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield.
No, I just think he's overrated. He's not that good. There's a reason why Bama ran him off.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, they should still be pretty good. Ohio State, we'll see with Ryan Day. He's very highly thought of. I got to see it first. LSU, look, my feelings on LSU are very obvious. Until it happens, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like they are returning a lot of talent. They are returning an okay starting quarterback.
It's so ridiculous.
But it happens every year. They rank them in the top 10 or 8, and they're like, this team is the year they could beat Bama. They don't do it. I don't believe in Ed Orgeron as a head coach. Unless it happens, I'm not buying it.
I couldn't agree more there.
And then Michigan, this could be Michigan's year. Again, it's almost like I got to see it happen. I might pick them to win the Big Ten just because the game, quote unquote, is in Ann Arbor, but we'll see. Notre Dame should be pretty good. I mean, they've returned a starting quarterback. I like Brian Kelly as a coach. They'll be okay. Texas.
Texas back.
No, I'm not going there. They'll be pretty good. They're the second best team in the Big 12, but that's not really saying much. Especially this year, there's really nobody outside of Texas and Oklahoma. But yeah, A&M, I think's a little too high. We'll see. Oregon, I think Oregon's way too high. They're 13th.
I think they're putting a lot of stock in Justin Herbert.
They're putting a lot. Herbert's okay. Herbert's pretty good. They have a really good recruiting class coming in. That's got to be what they're banking on.
Yeah.
Problem is, I don't believe in their head coach, Mario Cristobal. I just don't think he's that good.
I don't know enough about him, to be honest with you. He's no Chip Kelly, or who was the other guy that they had after Chip Kelly who was still really good?
Helfrich, but I would argue it was Scott Frost. He was the OC.
Oh, Scott Frost was the OC before UCF?
Yep.
Oh, no shit. Okay. I didn't know that. You
Penn...
think Nebraska's going to be any good anytime soon because of Frost?
They should be better this year. They should be about 7 or 8 wins.
They were garbage last year, dude.
They should be 7 or 8 wins, maybe 9, maybe get to the Big 12 or Big 10 championship. But he's gonna right that ship. Same.
Yeah, I agree.
Same with what fans are saying about Neil Brown here at WVU. Like we probably won't be very good this year, but he'll get it done. Other guys, Penn State. Look, they're really talented, but Trace McSorley's gone. We'll see how that turns out. Auburn, I don't know.
Who knows?
A little high for me, but we'll see. UCF, Wisconsin's okay. Iowa, Michigan State. Michigan State's way too high. Iowa State at 24. Look, I'm not the biggest Iowa State fan. Like, everyone is sucking on Matt Campbell, and I think Matt Campbell's a good coach. Don't get me wrong, but people are acting like he's a top 15 coach. He's never won more than 9 games. I got to see it.
Yeah.
He's done great things at Iowa State, too. I'm not discrediting him, but people are acting like he's taking them to the playoff. Do you want to talk about this last thing about Dabo Swinney?
Yeah, I didn't know much about it. What was really the gist of it?
I saw it recently. I don't know. I don't think Nick Saban made any comments, but people have been saying like Alabama only lost the national title because they went through a tough schedule and like they were exhausted by the national championship. Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, wait, so a 15 game grind's a 15-game grind. It didn't affect Clemson.
Yeah, what do you mean? Dude, they 5 of their games every year against teams that literally, if they played with their arms tied behind their back, they still wouldn't lose.
Yeah. Same with Clemson, though, but yeah, I agree with Alabama.
Citadel with 9 players on both sides of the ball. Literally, I'm not even joking.
Like, I just hate this argument because Nick Saban did mention this like the first year of the playoff. He was like, we didn't get enough time off, blah, blah, blah. And I just said, you got 3 weeks off. You got 3 weeks off. That's plenty of time.
Figure it out.
Figure it out.
That's your job. No, dude, listen to me. I will never. That's like trying to get somebody to feel bad for the Patriots. I'm not going to feel bad for you if you're bad.
No, I'm right there with you with Bama fans.
Every year, I don't feel bad for you. You get the best recruiting class every year, if not second. You got the best coach. Like, no, not happening. Sorry.
Yep. Sorry, my mom just walked in.
Okay. Hi, Mom.
No, you're not. You're fine. I just thought you wanted to say something. No, but yeah, I agree. Just I don't have much sympathy for Bama. They've won 5 national titles in a decade.
I'm about done with.
You got any final thoughts?
Go Birds, baby.
Go Birds. All right. Yeah, I'll end that on Go Pack Go.
Let's go, baby.
Season starts tonight.
Football's back. All right, brother. Good to talk to you, man.
Yep. Always a pleasure.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Yep. See ya.